Hello there. As you can see, the time right now is 3:57 a.m. So you can see that I am not joking. It is indeed 3:57 a.m. So you know what that means. It is time to watch some scary shit. Strap in, boys. Today we got Nick Crowley, YouTube's Darkest Channels, number 6. Let's get right into it.
Hi everybody, this is Cheyenne.
Cheyenne Kircher was 14 years old when she disappeared.
You know, I'm really bored. I wonder if I got anything to do. I know what I can do.
Chapter 1.
October 2011.
Chich Love 21.
Flyers are placed around the small town of East Dubuque, Illinois, asking residents for their help in finding a missing 14-year-old girl named Cheyenne Kircher. A well-known member of the community with a notoriously troubled home life, it was perhaps unsurprising when her family woke to find the girl had vanished, leaving behind just a single note stating, "Mom and Dad, you haven't done nothing wrong, but by the time you get this letter, I will be gone. Don't worry about me, I will always love you. You won't find me because I don't want to be found. So at last I say goodbye. Love, Shy."
What? This is like the last. This is the last note that a parent would want to find.
The handwriting was hers, and most importantly, forensic analysts determined that it was not written under any sort of duress, leaving Cheyenne's case rather clean-cut. She was a runaway, and had left, at least partially, of her own volition. But why exactly did she leave, and where exactly had she gone? Questions that only grew more pressing as the days turned to weeks, and then months. And before the town knew it, Cheyenne Kircher had been missing for an entire year. And aside from one single note, left in the time period prior to her disappearance, Cheyenne had managed to leave essentially no trail behind. That
How
is,
can you do this?
in the physical world at least.
She kept posting on YouTube?
This is the new profile of Cheyenne Show.
Despite being described as a fairly socially awkward kid, Cheyenne had found comfort in the world of social media. She frequently posted to her Facebook page and her multiple YouTube channels, which even today sit practically unheard of, with her very first channel hosting just 4 subscribers. But by discovering these accounts, investigators in turn were able to catch a glimpse into what life was like for Cheyenne in the years and months leading to her disappearance, with this trail eventually guiding them to one video in particular. A video that exposed a grim secret within the case that stood before them. Whether they knew it or not, when they first found these YouTube channels, they had simultaneously stumbled across the smoking gun and Cheyenne Kircher's disappearance, and inadvertently, one of the darkest channels across all of YouTube.
Why?
Dad, look around. I don't want you getting caught in the camera.
Cheyenne was 14 when she disappeared in October 2011.
Where this horrifying accident happened around 3:30.
I came to a realization of something.
I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Let's get into it.
Before we get too far into this, I want to thank today's sponsor.
Jesus Christ.
That can help you. Yep. Best part is, or required.
Can't do all of that scary ass music just to get into an ad like that. But I guess it's a good little shaker to get, a little breather away from the scariness. I should really have my mic right here. I just don't want to move it too much because sometimes I'm scared that if I move it, I will disconnect it. But let's see why she disappeared. Okay, it appears we're back.
Hi everybody, I'm back and I'm ready for action.
To some, it
She's
came
not
as a
even
little
looking at the
surprise
camera.
that Cheyenne would want to leave the house where she had grown up. Cheyenne had lived there with her 3 siblings and her mother, Lori Lyons. And though she never met her biological father, Lori had remarried to a man named Terry Abbas, whom Cheyenne referred to as her dad. But making things a bit more confusing was the fact that Terry wasn't the only adult man that happened to be living with them, since Lori also had her boyfriend, Steve Staver, living with the family as well.
What?
This isn't inherently a major issue, but it was something that was criticized by locals who knew of their domestic situation, and likely by Cheyenne's classmates as well. But on the topic of said living arrangements, this was far from the most glaring red flag, with that coming in the form of the house itself.
The house?
When investigators visited the home to interview Cheyenne's family, they were greeted with what one described as the worst smells he had ever experienced. All throughout the house were heaps of trash, dirty laundry, filth, and that unbearable stench. The living conditions were horrendous. Between this, the strange household dynamic, and that note left behind, this seemed to be as straightforward as a runaway case could get. Though it wasn't quite that simple. When police were searching around the home, they realized that Cheyenne had left behind her cell phone, which she was supposedly glued to at all times. But even stranger, she had left her jacket, as well as her shoes, which seemed bizarre considering that winter was quickly approaching, and temperatures were hovering around freezing at this point. So the idea of leaving the house without either of these items made little sense at all, hinting to law enforcement that there may be more to this story than what meets the eye, prompting them to begin poking around her history on social media.
There are really some disturbed children out there in the world. Parents, take care of your children. If you cannot, do not have children, please.
Starting almost exactly a year before she vanished,
I know it's not that
Cheyenne
simple,
began
but
posting goofy, nonsensical videos to her very first YouTube channel, Cheyenne 2010.
That's it. Oh, the camera fell on my face.
The clips here show Cheyenne's personality, as she's often seen joking around and doing various skits. And though they seem fairly incoherent all these years later, for a child at her age back in 2011, this was the standard for small personal channels. And you can tell that she clearly just enjoyed creating this content, using the channel as sort of an outlet to get thoughts and emotions out into the world, even if practically no one was watching. But dealing with her disappearance specifically, things became far more noteworthy on February 19th, 2011, when Cheyenne launched another YouTube channel called Shy Shy Love 2011.
But somebody had took my account, but I'm back on air and I'm ready to make shows.
The channel
she's
was
really like all of us, huh? She's really very normal. To get hacked, everybody's been there, except me. Knock on wood.
Essentially a continuation of her previous account, but eventually she would introduce a new style of content, one that featured her family members as stars of the show. On numerous occasions, we see her younger siblings and her older brother joining in on the fun, with the group all seeming to have a great dynamic together, acting exactly the way you would expect of siblings their age. But by far her most frequent guest was one who rarely, if ever, appeared willingly, and instead would be caught in the background, working at his desk or coming in and out of the room where Cheyenne was filming, with that being Terry Abbas, her stepfather.
That's my brother Riley. That's that creepy guy that lives downstairs. Oh, my stepdad, Terry.
Due to the crowded living conditions of her home, Cheyenne never really had her own environment to film
What a
in,
strange
so
comment.
she made do with Terry sitting in the background, even throwing some jokes his way as the two would frequently bicker about him being caught on the camera.
There's been a lot of things changing over the news. Dad, look around, please. I don't want you getting caught in the camera.
Shine, why don't you be quiet? I am.
Okay, whatever.
Doing my business.
Okay.
But this never really went past anything other than standard family hostilities. In fact, Cheyenne seemed to love the man that she called Dad, posting about him on numerous occasions across her Facebook page. And as investigators followed the trail across her channel, it seemed that the content on her YouTube page was leading them straight towards a dead end. Until they found the video.
What, the newest video? The last video on her channel? You mean the last video she posted? Wouldn't that have been the first video they checked? Or am I wrong in assuming that?
You know, I'm really
Very
bored.
strange case. I still don't know
I wonder if I
why.
got anything to do.
A livestream was posted to Cheyenne's channel that spanned just 3 minutes and 35 seconds, with the clip beginning exactly how you'd expect from Cheyenne, before her video is interrupted.
I know what I can do.
As she carried out her introduction to this live video, a man suddenly enters the room with only his lower half in frame. Immediately, Cheyenne turns to him, and her loud, energetic personality does a total 180. she goes quiet, before grabbing the man's arms and whispering, "I'm on a live stream. Be careful."
Do.
The man acknowledges this with a simple okay, but then proceeds to grab her by what appears to be the neck. This causes Cheyenne to yell stop before falling onto the bed and snapping back into her comedic personality.
Stop! Did I say you were in this? No, you weren't.
The man then approaches again and begins slap fighting with her, now switching his personality as well, as he starts playing into the joke, very obviously performing for the camera.
See how abusive? No, he's not abusive. No, stop!
Yes, I am. I'll pull her out.
No!
Alright.
See what I have to go through every day?
The man then leaves after exchanging a few more words, and Cheyenne continues the video as usual.
That is so bizarre. I mean, it could be nothing. It could literally be like her older brother, maybe, and she was just making a skit about. I doubt that'd be an older brother. But that all seems so bizarre to me.
Man, I don't know what you were going to do today. Can any of my viewers tell me what should I do?
This would be the last video Cheyenne Kircher would ever upload to YouTube, and months later, she would vanish, never to be seen again. The video insinuates so much: the closeness of the man, the secrecy of it, the way he approached her, and the sudden change in energy from Cheyenne. It all spoke so loudly as to what was happening here, and what had been happening to Cheyenne at the hands of her own stepfather, Terry Abbas.
As you will see, I did.
Dad, look around, please. I don't want you getting caught in the camera.
That's that creepy guy that lives downstairs. Oh, I mean, my stepdad, Terry.
Cheyenne's home life truly was troubled, even more so than detectives could have ever imagined, as they began uncovering stories where Terry had supposedly been spying on Cheyenne in the bathroom, with these accounts eventually growing more and more.
Oh, man. What kind of stories? What do you mean stories? Stories? What does that mean? What do you... I just didn't want to think that, but I could have expected it. I wanted to think, maybe it was a skit, and maybe it was her brother because he was in the other videos, but if that's not a skit, and that really just happened in that way, subsequently on a live stream, where you could just see her dad walking in and being all strange, I can see where this is going.
More heinous, as it was eventually alleged that Terry had begun, with this moment captured on Cheyenne's livestream likely being the attempted start of another attack. Only this time, Cheyenne was saved by the camera, if only for a moment. So with this, investigators called Terry in to speak with him as to what really led to Cheyenne going missing, already knowing at this point that he had likely been for years now. And as Terry sat down for his interrogation, it would not take long for the truth to reveal itself.
Well, you got your man. Hey, you got Terry Abbas. Cheyenne is not with us. She's gone. Before I knew it, I was standing over her body. Last time I remember, my hand was over her neck for some reason.
Just over her neck and doing what?
Squeezing, I guess.
As Cheyenne began to grow older, Terry knew that the things he had been doing to her were at a greater risk than ever of being exposed to the world, and Terry didn't trust her to keep that secret, so he had to take care of things himself. One night, he would go into the woods behind the family's home and begin digging, carving out a large hole multiple feet below the surface, the perfect size for a body. The next morning, he would then lure Cheyenne outside of the house under the guise of playing a game, and once they were sufficiently away from the home and covered by thick brush, he wrapped his hands around her neck and began to squeeze, ending her life right then and there before proceeding to bury her body in that pre-dug grave. But if this was the case, then how do you explain the note? Well, to show just how premeditated this all was, about a month before she had vanished, Cheyenne was told by Terry that they were going to pull a prank on her mother, one where she would pretend to run away, leaving behind only a note. But rather than going through with the prank, Terry decided to instead keep that note for a later date, thus giving him the perfect decoy to take any suspicion off him once he carried through with a murder. Terry Abbas was eventually sentenced to life in prison, where he will rot away for the rest of his days. The context of it all makes—
God damn, man, that guy doesn't deserve to live. God damn. Woo, fuck, man, that is fucked up, dude. How do you do that to your own child? I mean, she may not be your blood, whatever, but man, come on, dog. Seriously? You women need to be really careful with who you let in your home when your children are there. You can't just be letting ex-husbands, exes, boyfriends, whatever, just come and live and just do whatever they want freely in your home with your children. I mean, just look at the man. Bro, clearly. I mean, he fits the bill. I don't even know what to say. I really hope he does rot in prison. That is crazy.
Where he will rot away for the rest of his days.
Beyond fucking crazy.
The context of it all makes the videos across her channel that much more unsettling, with the worst being that final upload. But what's perhaps most disturbing is that this was just one brief moment in what was likely a constant stream of abuse. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to think of all that Cheyenne had to—
Oh man, I almost wish she streamed it more. Maybe we could have found out sooner. Maybe we could have stopped it.
endure when the cameras weren't rolling.
Oh my god.
Okay. Bye.
Oh man, I don't want to look into her eyes. Why do I not want to look into her eyes? It's just so sad to know that that human is dead. A fucking innocent human. She looks so innocent, man. How could you do that?
June 3rd, 2009, 15-year-old Roman Perozic Jr. fires up his remote-controlled helicopter at a small Brooklyn, New York park, while his friend stands by closely with a camera trained at the device. For many, RC flying is viewed as nothing more than a recreational activity, but for Roman, this was more than just a hobby. It was his life, and his passion and practice gave him the ability to perform tricks that, to an outside observer, seem utterly impossible.
Damn. My guy got moves. Damn.
When Roman's helicopter was in the air, it was as if gravity itself failed to exist, performing stunts that seemed to defy physics, turning the craft sideways, zigzagging it backwards, even upside down in a completely unnatural manner, before stopping it on a dime with expert precision. On YouTube, you can find traces of his work all over, with many videos being posted by various amazed observers, along with clips posted to his own 2 YouTube channels. With this initial upload being his first introduction to YouTube. Through his videos and various public showings, Roman was already becoming known as one of the most compelling pilots in the entire community. And despite his youth, this actually isn't as surprising as it may seem. Flying was in his blood. His father, Roman Perozic Sr., was a passionate RC pilot himself, even founding and leading a New York City-based club for fellow RC enthusiasts. Over the years, he would teach his son all there was to know about this unique sport, with the two often traveling and competing in various events across the country, and flying recreationally together nearly every single weekend, documenting many of these outings across the Roman Perozic Jr. channel. But while it's easy to appreciate the talent involved with flying in such a manner, there was an element at play with these tricks that is easy to overlook, especially by simply watching the videos. With that being, the element of danger. Unlike most RC helicopters that you would expect to see in stores that are mainly geared towards children, the device that Roman was flying is much, much bigger, with the craft measuring in at nearly 3 feet long, featuring blades of a similar size that were made entirely out of carbon fiber. These devices were large and, most importantly, powerful, as it's estimated that this specific craft Roman was using could reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, while the blades themselves spun at speeds of over 250 miles per hour, rotating 4,000 times in just a single minute. This craft was not a toy, with pilots online likening it to a flying lawnmower. And with that context, it does make these videos a bit more nerve-wracking, as Roman can be seen flying dangerously close to himself and others on numerous occasions. But of all the various stunts he'd perform, there was one that was by far the most daring. For the trick, Roman would flip his helicopter upside down, managing to keep it in the air all the while, before shooting it upwards as high as it could go, and when it was just nearly out of sight, he would then cut the power, causing the craft to free fall to the ground below, only for Roman to fire it back up and catch the device right before it crash landed. Throughout his channel, I could only find a few examples of him performing that trick, likely due to its high level of danger not only for this expensive machine, but also for himself and the others around him. Though on the 6th of September 2003, Roman decided that it was time to give it another try.
Oh, man, why do I feel like I know where this is going? God damn. When he mentioned the danger in the machine, flying lawnmower, we all know where this is going.
That day, Roman had been visiting the Calvert Vaux Park, his favorite flying spot in the entire city, where he would fire up his helicopter and begin his usual run of tricks. Beside him was his father and 4 close friends who looked on as Roman executed yet another flawless run. And riding that momentum, he was ready to tackle his toughest stunt.
Oh man.
Only there was a slight problem.
Okay.
According to one of the young men watching on, something strange began happening with the device. There was something wrong with the helicopter. I've seen many of Roman's videos. I was looking at the helicopter as it took off and I noticed strange oscillations. There was an imbalance somewhere there. Something was off slightly. It was minute. Whatever was happening with Roman's craft seemed minor, so much so that Roman himself didn't even notice it, or he didn't think that it would cause any issues, as he decided to perform the final trick anyway. And so he flipped the helicopter upside down, raised it up to the bright sky above him, and took his thumb off the controller. The helicopter then fell limp in the sky as it began its rapid plunge below, with Roman, his friends, and his father all watching on as it grew closer and closer to them. Before, he slammed his finger back on the control stick and fired up the rotors to catch the craft. Only he did so just a second too late.
And this is caught on YouTube.
At Calvert Vaux Park, where this horrifying accident happened around 3:30 this afternoon. And it's where Roman Perozic and his friends came on a regular basis. But today, Perozic's flight, it took a horrible turn. Roman Perozic was out in this field on a picture-perfect Thursday, flying his model chopper when it came crashing down, the blades slashing his throat and killing him.
The guy was firing the helicopter and we're not controlling. It decapitated him.
Officials say Perozic was out here with 4 friends. They all witnessed the horrifying crash.
It's not fully understood what exactly happened, if it truly was.
What?
Officials.
The guy was firing the helicopter and we're not controlling. It decapitated him.
It decapitated him? It decapitated him?
The guy was firing the helicopter and we're not controlling. It decapitated him.
Officials
That's
say
like the
Perozic
worst
was out
thing
here
that
with
could
4
have possibly happened. That is Murphy's Law. The worst thing that could have possibly happened. His father is done. He is no longer an RC enthusiast. He is literally gonna I don't know.
friends. They all witnessed the horrifying crash.
It's not fully understood what exactly happened, if it truly was some sort of mechanical issue, the wind speed, or if it was simply mistimed by Roman. But despite the helicopter turning on and its blades nearly instantly reaching their full speed, the craft was not able to stop in time to avoid a crash landing. And although the weather was clear and sunny that day, a strong breeze had pushed the craft towards Roman as it fell, meaning that instead of crashing on the grass in front of him, the RC helicopter instead would crash directly into him. The blade first struck Roman's face, impacting with such a strong force that it nearly cut his head clean in half, before the blade would then strike his neck, partially decapitating him. All the while, his friends and father watched on in horror. Within a split second, Roman Perozic Jr. was dead, killed by the very sport he loved so dearly.
It's crazy, man. That's fucking crazy as fuck. To be honest, though, that's probably the way he would have honestly maybe wanted to go out if he had to. I mean, a lot of people do very daring sports. Look at rock climbers, skydivers, you know, adrenaline junkies. I mean, if they did go out that way, they probably would rather it be that way. But fuck, that is terrifying. That is not a fucking toy. You know, at first when I see this, I'm thinking, oh, that's that RC shit. It's that shit I can buy at fucking... as seen on TV, you know, fucking Toys R Us or some bullshit. That is most definitely not a toy.
When Roman posted his first video to YouTube, there was no way of knowing where his passion would take him and what it would all lead to. And at this time, it's evident just how dark this channel has become due to the backstory surrounding it. But there's also another perspective here to consider, as through the darkness, there's actually something quite beautiful about his channel, as thanks to it, his incredible work has been forever immortalized. And despite Roman's death, his passion for piloting RC helicopters and his extraordinary skill will live on and continue to leave people amazed for years to come.
I was really thinking that, man. Damn, how tragic is that?
It started with a simple video.
How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be talking about fitness as a whole and the challenges it brings.
Posted by Austin Harriff, an 18-year-old college student living in Juniper, Florida, Fitness Challenges and Overcome was the inaugural upload to his YouTube channel called A Frost. Having lived his entire life in the area, Austin had developed a reputation locally for being goofy, but also intelligent and driven, finding a deep love for fitness upon taking up football and bodybuilding at a young age. And in his first upload, his passion and personality were on full display as he shared his thoughts on the world of dieting and weightlifting, with the video's sole purpose being to help others who may want to follow in a similar path.
It's pretty tough, man. It's not easy, but nothing in life worth having is easy. Remember that, guys. You remember that? You remember that? I remember. You gotta promise me that you'll remember that.
It seemed apparent that Austin aspired to develop a career online as a fitness coach. And despite this being his first crack at launching a YouTube channel, he does come across as being articulate and likable. And aside from some general awkwardness due to the lack of polished editing, Austin appears entirely normal. A stark contrast to what was soon to come. Despite launching his channel on a concise high note, the next 27 uploads would take on a much different tone, as rather than keying in on health and wellness, Austin immediately shifted his focus onto writing and performing rap music under his new alias, Austy Frosty.
Frostbite Beats. I defeat Bill Cosby. Show. Get him to show me his P.E.P.
This music is not for everyone, to the point where it's almost indiscernible from irony. However, this music is not.
I mean, I feel like there's something really terrible coming up, so I was trying not to laugh. But goddamn, that is fucking horrible. I mean, I'm not saying I could do better, but dude, that is kind of bad. But sadly, I do not want to laugh because I'm sure the story is not going to be a happy ending. So that little chuckle is all I'm going to give it. But you know what? I can respect the attempt. I can respect it completely. I mean, sometimes you just got to do it, okay? I respect the, you got to respect it, honestly. I mean, I don't know. It might have been a goof. It might have been a spoof. Maybe it was just his little goofy personality, you know?
Frostbite Beats.
Like that. Makes me kind of think it was kind of a spoof, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know.
I defeat Bill Cosby. Show. Get him to show me his P.E.P.
This music is not for everyone, to the point where it's almost indiscernible from irony. However, the persistence of his uploading hints that this went far past your standard joking, as there were moments in these songs where it genuinely felt like it was coming from a different person entirely.
There's a hobo on the street corner, and he says, real talk, homeboy. Oi, oi.
Someone who seemed somewhat disconnected from reality, as hinted at further, when he eventually returned to the camera's forefront.
What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about the ketogenic diet.
After his run of consecutive music uploads, Austin began appearing on camera yet again, where his once articulate and well put together self began moving and speaking more sporadically.
And other low-starch vegetables like spinach. With my baby, with my baby, yeah. Get hoes, get money, get big, get suits, fly planes, run train. I'm a man.
Even his editing began to change, with unusual clips being interjected for no discernible reason.
Ketosis helps your body get into this caloric deficit. Cutting carbohydrates may sound difficult.
Even given the small sample size, it was clear that Austin's behavior was changing. And although traces of this changing persona were starting to be seen on his YouTube channel, this behavioral shift was far more evident for those who knew him personally. Starting around the time that the A Frost channel had launched, Austin's once fun-loving personality became cold and hostile to those around him, which was mainly due to the fact that Austin began to experience what he would later call visions. He would turn off his lights to go to sleep at night, only to be met with the sight of demons and monsters who would approach him from the shadows. And soon, these creatures began appearing everywhere he went, especially in the darkness, prompting Austin to stop sleeping, as he grew paranoid of what these things might do to him. As a result, his mental state fluctuated even more, and he soon thought that perhaps he was a divine being himself, a god of sorts, maybe even Jesus Christ. His descent was jarring and extremely concerning, and at the rate he was going, it seemed certain that something was bound to snap. Until a breakthrough.
What do you mean a breakthrough? What do you mean?
I came to a realization of something.
Oh, a breakthrough for the better? A breakthrough for improvement? For enlightenment?
I no longer want to follow Arnold or any other bodybuilder.
Maybe he became obsessed with bodybuilding? He had severe body dysmorphia? Okay, what am I talking about? Never mind. I was reading too much into that last comment. He might have been doing drugs and not sleeping. That's kind of the first thing that I thought of when I watched the second clip, when he came back on camera. I'm not gonna lie, but let's just wait and see. And goddamn, brace yourselves, because I feel like this is...
I want to follow myself, you know? I want to actually believe in myself.
Okay.
In his video entitled, What I'm About in Bodybuilding, we see a side of Austin that hadn't come through since really his very first upload, as he sits down in front of the camera and just lets loose, speaking candidly about his fitness journey and the path that he was on.
I just know that they're not me, you know? I know what's right for me. I don't need drugs. I know that they can change me. But the thing is, that's not being healthy, you know? Being healthy is what's natural, you know?
He spoke of wanting to do things his way and how he was striving to be the most healthy version of himself, both physically and mentally.
That's very good.
It's almost shocking how calm Austin seems here, just based on his prior uploads.
He's got a good build,
but despite appearing like a positive sign on the surface that Austin was perhaps finally getting the help he needed, there was still an air of uncertainty to it all. And there was really no way to know at the time whether his demeanor in this video was a sign of better.
Peace out. Peace.
Oh God.
Or worse things to come.
Oh. Did he kill himself? Did he kill his family? Did he kill his friends? Did he run people over? Do a mass shooting? This is where my brain is going right now. I have no idea. It could be not that bad.
On the afternoon of August 15th, 2006, Austin had joined his father and his father.
Sorry, when?
On the afternoon of August 15th, 2006, Austin had joined his father and his father's girlfriend out for a nice dinner, with the family taking their seats and waiting to place their orders. But Austin wanted no part of it, as he sat there silently, his mind stewing all the while, until he just couldn't take it anymore. For some reason, it was all just too much, and he stood up and left the establishment without saying more than a few words. Outside, he began to walk, then jog, and then run, sprinting in the direction of his mother's house who lived nearby. He barged into the then empty home and felt the overwhelming urge to chug the nearest liquid he saw, but it wasn't alcohol or anything close. No, it was vegetable oil, as he guzzled down nearly a full bottle of it, before leaving the home and heading back towards the restaurant, this time confronting his father, yelling and even attempting to hit him, for no apparent reason whatsoever. Once more, he just couldn't take it, and he fled the restaurant again, as his mind felt as if it was crumbling with each passing second.
What? Vegetable oil? I mean, maybe there was worse liquids to drink, but downing vegetable oil? That's gotta be not healthy.
until he got outside and was met by the sight of something utterly horrific. It looked like some sort of creature standing there just staring at him. He screamed at the top of his lungs and began sprinting away into the dark night. He ran as fast as he could, desperately calling for help, desperately looking for help, until he saw a bright light in the distance. Salvation, he thought, as he sprinted towards it and then directly into the light.
How do we know this? What is he? What? Was this caught on video, or did he say this? Did he tell somebody this?
Light in the distance.
Or is this just all eyewitness statements?
Salvation, he thought, as he sprinted towards it and then directly into the light.
How do we know his thoughts? Okay.
911, you need fire, police, or medical?
Please, and medical. Don't open that, don't open that.
Fire rescue, what's your address?
Young man, a woman, across the street.
Okay, are they outside or in a house?
It's in a garage.
What did he do?
Shortly after Austin began hallucinating, a 911 call was made to police in the area, alerting them of an attack in progress. A middle-aged woman was being brutally beaten in her garage as her screams echoed throughout the empty street. Police would arrive within minutes, where they shine their light in that same garage, only to be met with a grisly discovery. Inside, a woman lay motionless, her body hardly recognizable due to the assault that she had endured, while next to her were two men. One was lying limp, his body hacked into pieces scattered about. The other was wrapped around him, with his face buried in the man's abdomen. Officers approached, guns drawn, where they would finally catch a glimpse of the second man's face. It was Austin Harif, whose body was completely covered in blood, and his mouth filled entirely with flesh, spitting out chunks of the man's torso towards the officers before going back in for more, this time attacking his face. In that moment, Austin was quite literally eating this man, and eating him alive, as despite being cut into pieces and partially eaten, the man continued to scream, which made shooting Austin impossible without the risk of killing him. The man continued to scream alive, as despite being cut into pieces and partially eaten, the man continued to scream, which made shooting Austin
cut into pieces and partially eaten and still alive. This has to be from a fucking story. This cannot. I mean, is this from a story? I mean, I know real life is stranger than fiction, but goddamn, that sounds like a fucking movie. What? He's a cannibal? What? That's like the strangest fucking turn I could have. What?
Possible without the risk of killing him too. The police yelled at him to stop, but nothing. They tased him, but nothing. They kicked him, they beat him, but still nothing. He just kept on eating. They even sent their canine in to subdue and attack him, but Austin somehow fought it off. In that moment, it was as if Austin were truly invincible. It wouldn't be until officers got a handcuff around him and the entire unit pulled together that they were finally able to drag Austin off of the man, ending the ordeal once and for all. When Austin was sprinting into the night, that light that he was running towards was actually an open garage in a residential neighborhood, where inside a woman named Michelle Stevens had been relaxing and watching television, waving to the passing neighbors, until she saw Austin sprinting towards her. There was nothing she could do, as without provocation, he brandished a pocket knife and began attacking her mercilessly, before turning his attention to her husband, John Stevens III, who desperately tried to intervene. At some point in the scuffle, neighbor Jeffrey Fisher would hear the commotion and immediately run over to help, only for Austin to turn to him and warn him that he didn't want any of this, before lunging after him, stabbing him too multiple times. Jeffrey managed to escape by slamming Austin's head into the ground, partially cracking his skull, but somehow the young man got right back up and continued to fight as if nothing had happened. And recognizing the grave danger, Jeffrey fled to his home where he called the police.
He beat her up. I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
All right, can you tell if she's conscious or is she unconscious?
Well, my wife's looking at my back and it appears I got punctured.
Yes, Dad. In the neck, in the head, three puncture wounds.
Who would arrive soon after and eventually restrain Austin. but not before he had ended the lives of Michelle and John Stevens, both of whom were eventually pronounced dead on the scene.
How's it going, guys? Today, I'm gonna be talking about
Austin's channel gives us a front row seat to a man's descent into madness, but even watching it back today with all the red flags, the idea that he could be capable of something like this just seems so shocking, which begs the question, why did he do it? Well, the attack itself was entirely unprovoked. He had never—
What? Jesus Christ. What is this shit with mental instability? What in a man's mind can cause him to do this? Testosterone? Like, even when I feel like I'd be losing my mind, I'd be going insane, something's not right. How do you just go in and brutally assault some random person? How angry are you at the world? Like, what? Is this from not sleep? Is this what happens when you don't sleep? Because if this is the case, this would be a great melatonin commercial. Okay, maybe too soon. Too soon. It's not really the time to make a joke, because Jesus Christ, 2 people were brutally murdered. And unprovokingly at that. I mean, just an unprovoked attack. It's like the most horrific, most horrible thing ever. Like, what? And then you were eating her man? Her husband? What? I don't even have anything else to comment, dude. I'm just gonna sit down.
Never even met the couple, and the couple had never even spoke to the man. And given what could only be described as his superhuman strength in that moment, many would assume that this was the case of drug use gone wrong, with it having shades of a similar case that happened not too far away.
People behaving strangely and showing what appears to be superhuman strength. Over the weekend, Rudy Eugene attacked a 65-year-old homeless man, chewing off most of his face.
But contrary to this belief, it was determined that—
I don't remember that. Bath salts. And downing vegetable oil? And bath salts makes you superhuman, but it makes you a zombie? Why do you want to eat people's face off? What? That is actually fucking insane. That was a combination of a lot of shit.
That during the attack, Austin was not under the influence of any hard drugs.
Yo, come on, dog. Seriously?
Attacked a 65-year-old homeless man, chewing off most of his face.
But contrary to this belief, it was determined that during the attack, Austin was not under the influence of any hard drugs.
What?
And instead only had tiny trace amounts of alcohol and THC in his system, but not nearly enough to cause the violence that transpired that day. Rather, experts claim that this was the case of an acute psychotic episode, with court documents shedding more light on Austin's mental health during that moment, where he would account his visions of these creatures and all the other delusions he had been experiencing. And even though he was never given proper help for what was eventually determined to be his schizophrenia, his parents clearly recognized that he could be a danger to himself and to others, with his mother even calling the police after he had ran away from the restaurant that night.
Police Department Lunch Recorded, is this Chrissy?
Yes, I don't know how to do this. My son, he's kind of taken off, and I'm concerned about his own safety.
But the only problem was, it was just a bit too late. Due to the results of Austin's drug test, it was determined that he was not of sound mind when the crime was committed, and that he would not have been able to consciously control himself, leading to the court's decision that he would not serve any jail time, and rather he was placed in a mental health facility, where he'll remain until he's deemed safe to assimilate back into society.
I don't know if that's happening. I don't think that's gonna happen. And who the fuck is gonna be deeming him safe to come back to society? What the fuck? Like, if he ever goes back? Oh, man. And he seemed like such a normal person, too. That's actually crazy. Schizophrenia. Sudden onset, extreme delusions, and no support network. Yeah. That is crazy, though. No support network. Right? That's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It was 100 times worse than I could have imagined. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like Dostoevsky, man. A lot of people have to share the responsibility that they are, in a weird way, because of the butterfly effect, they are responsible. Not, solely or entirely, but they are all partially responsible. That's why it's good to be kind to others and to be there and to support and to help people that need it, so maybe we can stop something like this. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. If you made it through to the end, leave a sub, leave a like. Let me know if you want me to react to more creepy videos, especially at nighttime. See you later, guys. Take care.